Within Union, most people would say that the Karrakin trade baronies are the second largest galactic power after it. To those live on Karrakis and its colonies, they would say the opposite. Being the largest and the most powerful federation of monarchies in known space, the Karrakin trade baronies is possibly the longest-lasting human civilization in history. Settled before the fall, the barony remains a spacefaring civilization while humanity back on Cradle were dying in the billions, and even when Union was rising back to the star, the barons already have an interplanetary administration aided by a massive network of machine minds to support the daily function of their dynastic monarchy without the benefit of the Blink or OmniNet. Now, with their expertise in mass terraforming and resource extraction technology, the barony is the single largest supplier of material to Union's unending appetite. So, once again, let's step back and see how they have changed, from the current, to the past. The first of the 10, Apollo, was launched when humanity realized Earth was on an irreversible course to ecological failure, and arrived at Karrakis within a century. When Earth was burning, Karrakis was blooming. When the fall was happening, Karrakis was in the second half of its first millennium. When the Dark Age has started, the planetary governor of Karrakis has ordered communication relay between Karrakis and Earth to be shut off as there's nothing they could do. What happened next showed that there's absolutely no end to the stupidity of humanity. After cutting off communication with Earth, the planetary governor dissolved non-essential civic bodies and enacted a set of autocratic laws to ensure his control over the colony as a part of his power granted by the colony charter's emergency provisions. While those in the secondary and tertiary colony sites agreed with it, the people at the colony's municipal core were angered by this. To them, Earth was a distant world, and while its falls was a tragedy, it's not their end, and the governor using this as an excuse for emergency power was unacceptable to them. Mass protests erupted across the city center, which shortly ended as a brief note on history as the Karrakin massacre, as the governor called the colonial security force to break up the demonstration. This temporarily brought peace to the governor, as the people were stunned by this event, but it set a seed of destruction that will soon torn the administration apart. However, that didn't happen until the resource and tech injection from Earth stopped coming, because of the fall. The colony administration, despite seeing Earth literally dying before their eyes, didn't bother to plan for the inevitable stoppage of import from it, and now the entire population of Karrakis was suffering because of it. Then the population fought back against the governor. This time they were armed and readied. Thus, the melee began, and Karrakis soon experienced collapse similar to that of the fall back on Earth. Roughly a decade later, the resistance had won, but at a great cost. Without administration from the center, the secondary and tertiary colonies were either dead, banded together, or forced to raid each other for survival. Following the abdication of the planetary governor, a citizen council was formed to administer Karrakis, focusing on rebuilding and recontacting the outlying town. After the melee, a century of peace followed, balanced on the edge of a dagger, but the once united colony was split into four regions under four powerful rulers, and one under what's left of the Karrakis Council. And even that was quickly turned to four when the council split up and the remains of Karrakis city were constantly raided for its technology and resource. But soon, things will change. Karrakis will soon have its first king. A small thing to note here, this period of history was almost a complete unknown due to the fact that most of it was buried, often literally, by the following administration. So, the next history I'm going to tell is probably sanitized to hell and should only be considered as an approximation to the truth. Passacaglia is a commoner by birth, and the third of 5 brothers. His family tended to the vast wheat field of Race, one of the 4 city-states under its ruler, Pasha Race. However, the field would often be raided by raiding parties, thus the families would band together as a commune and tithe significant percentage of the harvest to the Pasha, who, in turn, provides them with protection by his security force. However, in secret, all of this was by design. Pasha of different city-states had peace councils to negotiate over how many raids are allowed on their farmland to avoid larger battle that would often cost more than it reward. And unfortunately, Passacaglia's family was the one Pasha Race negotiated away. His family used to have 15 brothers, likely from other families of the commune, but one was killed every year until only he and his 4 brothers remained. Passacaglia begged audience with the Pasha, imploring him to the defense of the commune, but he refused. The next year, another brother was killed, he begged again, and was refused again. This would happen 2 more times, until only he and his last remaining brother, Anaxandron, remained, and they had enough of this nonsense. So, Passacalia devised a plan to not just his family but also to the soldiers garrisoned at the commune, who have suffered greatly from the raids. He, with a small party, would seek the aid of the scavenger kings and waste lords of the former Karrakis city, offering them their communes tithe in exchange for weapons and soldiers to kill Paschares, while his brother, Anaxandron, would spread the words that Paschares was derelict in his duty to protect them under the cover of the long winter months. When spring came, so did Passacalia, with a great army armed and armored with ancient weapons. Paschares' own army was no match against Passacalia's army, and his stronghold fell within a day. Anaxandron's work was a success too, as when Passacalia threw open the doors of the dead Pasha's stronghold, he was cheered by the people, who now wanted a new powerful Pasha. Named as the new Pasha of Race, Passacalia would soon topple the other 3 city-states within a decade, and the age of Anorum Passacalia has begun. Several thousands years later, it will fall.